How's it going, everybody? If you hadn't noticed by the title of this video, I passed. I am now Rob Riker, CCIE number 50693. I'm like, wow. So, for those of you that are interested in knowing how the lab exam was, it was just as difficult as the first and second attempts were. And in regards to lab complexity, is in terms of the difficulty of the test and what I had to do. But this time around, I flew through the exam. And not like literally, it didn't take me any time at all to get it done. I was done with all three sections relatively quickly. I had time to spare for each of the three sections, and my third attempt was definitely my attempt. That was my attempt to pass. So, for those of you that are interested, I took the lab on Monday, October 19th, which is yesterday right now. So I took it in RTP, Raleigh, North Carolina, my third attempt, and leading up to the lab, typical day, get up around, I think I got up at 5:45 local time. I went downstairs, or I was on the first floor, is where my hotel room was. I got a piece of toast and a couple sips of some Coke, and off we were to the lab. We got on the shuttle, me and a friend, Jason, we took the lab at the same time. We've been study partners for close to a year now, and we've helped each other throughout our lab prep. So we got to the lab, things went pretty well. We did our thing, and the proctor came out, got us all situated, and we started our test. And it was like, I knocked out 9 of 10 tickets. I couldn't get one ticket solved, but I had added up the amount of points that I had, and I was like, you know what, I'm good. I don't have to worry about it. I didn't let little things about the test bother me, because I knew the bigger picture was I had to have a certain amount of points per section to pass. And so I kept track of how many points I had total per section. So I did that, and as I was going along, everything was working out quite well. I got through Diag, and I finished a little bit early in troubleshooting. I had about an hour and 45 minutes in. I had everything done. I had gone back and I had verified everything, and I knew I was in good shape. So I hit end session, went to the next session, which is Diag. Diag was relatively easy, and that's probably that was my biggest concern, was Diag, because of the fact that there's no way for you to really prepare for it. So the big thing about Diag is you have to have operations experience in order for you to be able to do it. So if you haven't been in operations or support or something like that, where you've had to troubleshoot stuff where you're kind of walking and kind of blind, you're not sure, something changed but you don't know what, and you have to kind of figure it out. People are giving you kind of a symptom, and you have to be able to play off of that symptom and know, okay, what is it that could possibly cause that symptom? So being able to find root cause analysis, that's a big deal. So that was pretty straightforward. I was able to answer. There's three questions, and there's 2 parts to each question. Each part is a point. So you get 6 parts, 6 points. So I'm pretty sure I got 5 of 6 questions correct. Pretty sure. So I went out, and then I was into config, and the first thing I did in config is I went to. You get 5 sections. You get section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4, section 5. So section 1, I was done with that in probably about 15-20 minutes. And that was just making sure layer 2 was up. And I got that done in relatively quickly. I used Notepad for the entire exam, from troubleshooting to config. Rocketed through that. The big thing about config is time management, though. And I want to spend a little bit of time on the whole time management thing, because that seems to be the one thing that people talk about the most, is they didn't have enough time to verify. And I get that, because you're trying to figure out what you've got going on. But here's my advice when it comes to preparing for your CCIE. If you have 5.5 hours to work on your CCIE lab for your config section, I spent probably close to 40 minutes figuring it out. Because you don't want to jump right into actually typing commands in the command line. Because the reason why I don't do that out of the gate is because I don't know what's needed. I don't know what's going to be needed for the test. So instead, I read through the test, all 5 sections. I knew what to do, and what I did from there is I blocked block configuration that was going to be on the same devices together. So once layer 2 was all knocked out, I was fine. Then I got to layer 3, which is your all your layer 3 routing, so IGP and BGP. So I went through and I said, okay, for every block of routers that has, you know, the same autonomous system number or the same, one or more routers is going to be running IGP and BGP. I stayed in that router. I configure both IGP and BGP at the same time. So I would knock out IGP, then I would go and knock out BGP, and I consolidated my configuration. So I wasn't spending a lot of time going, okay, layer 2, then I knock out IGP, then I knock out BGP, and then I knock out VPN, then I knock out services and security. I didn't do it that way. And I'm not breaking NDA by telling you that, because if you follow the blueprint, you know, you've got layer 2, then you got layer 3, then you got VPN, then you got infrastructure security and infrastructure services. So that's how the exam is built. So, and I'm not telling you any questions on the test, but the idea is for you to block your configuration together. So if you get, like I said, 2 or more routers in the same block, you can put them together and build them out, and you're good to go. It speeds things up. So that's the main thing that I wanted to let everybody know, is you got to have a game plan going into the test. Now, most of you know that I am an INE instructor. I record content for INE, and so far it has been a very, very positive, a very, very good experience for me. It's very cool having that access, which in some cases, you know, I'm very, very happy with the situation, scenario, however you want to look at it. So that's where I come from on that. But I didn't just use INE for my preparation, so I want to throw that out right there. In the process of studying for my CCIE, I went through all of INE's workbooks. I watched all of INE's CCIE V5 videos, so the entire ATC. I watched bits and pieces of the troubleshooting bootcamp that was live recorded, and I did that. I did a couple of INE labs, the full-scale labs, and I did a couple of INE troubleshooting labs. Truth be told, I spent more time on IP Expert full-scale labs than I did on INE full-scale labs. And the reason why I say that is because IP Expert is much closer to the real exam than INE is. You know, that just happens to be the way that they built their labs. You know, and not a shot at INE in any regard, but it's, you know, just how it works out. So what I did is I used IP Expert, and I used for lab preparation. So after I learned the technologies and I'm at the point where I'm ramping up for the exam. Prior to that, I used INE, I used IP Expert for some things, I used some Narvik. So Narvik, if you're watching this video, thank you for those for your content. So that's pretty much where it goes from there. So at the end of the day, that's where I spent my time. Now, in total, it took me 3 years to study for this test. Now, that's not that I'm slow. That's including getting my CCNA, my CCNP, and now my CCIE. So that's what's up. So, you know, people ask me all the time, how do you prepare for it? And really, there's no golden answer. You know, I can't say it was this or it was that. It was a combination of all of the things that I had done to prepare for the test helped me pass. So, doing videos on YouTube, doing videos for INE, thousands of hours of labbing and preparing and studying and note-taking and digging into things. You will live, and let me come in a little close for you guys. If you're serious about taking your CCIE and passing it, there's a few things you have to do. Those few things is you have to sacrifice a lot. Now, I wouldn't expect anybody to sacrifice what I've sacrificed. Now, that's just, I wouldn't expect anybody to be like me. I have literally put my life on hold for the past 18 months. I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything except for I'm on the computer labbing. I work a full-time 40-hour-a-week job for a Cisco reseller. So I work for a Cisco partner. That has not always been the case. There's been my first attempt at the CCIE. I was actually unemployed, but I did that on purpose because I wanted to have time to ramp up. So you take that into consideration. You also take into consideration that this test is, you may be familiar with a gentleman by the name of Jeremy Chara. He's a CCIE instructor for CBT Nuggets. Great guy. He, to size up the CCIE, the first time I heard about it was from him. When I was going through CCNA, actually CCENT back in, God, what was it, early 2012. And he said this test is not for mere mortals. And to put it in perspective, just to give an idea of the complexity of the CCIE, there's a roundabout, and this is just basic Googling from numbers out there. There's around 2 million CCNAs. There's around 1 million CCNPs. I have a CCIE number of 50,693. That's a number that I've memorized. Only had it not even a day that I've been a CCIE, and it's weird for me even to say that. It hasn't sunk in yet. But 100,000 people would be 10% of 1 million for CCNPs. If you take the total number, that's 3 million certified professionals. So if you work in IT and you get paid, you're a professional in IT. So you take 3 million certified professionals, and you take that 3 million and you take that by 10%. That's 300,000. Okay? You take that number and you break it down a little bit more. So 5% would be 150,000. You take that number a little bit further down to 50,000. That means, on average, 1 to 2% of certified Cisco engineers are CCIEs. That means when you get CCIE, when you get the credential CCIE, you then become in the top 1 to 2% of network engineers in the world. Now, I am not one to gloat, but that's a pretty cool fact, and that's a pretty cool, that's a prestigious, award, or it's a prestigious status to have. Now, I've never been really a title person. You know, I'm a senior network engineer where I work. You know, it's at the end of the day, it's just a title. It basically just highlights in the hierarchy of my company where I'm at. I'm at the top. You can't get any higher in the engineering than I am. And architects are more the sales design type. I'm implementation support and engineering. So I make the architects and the sales guys, they design it and build out the statement of work and how things are supposed to work. I'm the guy that puts it together and tells the sales guys where they screwed up and and I'm the one that fixes it. So having my CCIE it's really cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm really excited about it. I'm really happy that I finally passed. I can take a break and be a human again. You know, I can spend time with the family and, you know, be a dad, be a husband, you know, that type of stuff. Go do things. You know, I can finally go to the movies in the middle of the week if I wanted to. You know, or, you know, go out to dinner instead of having to come home and study. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to study. What that means is I can take a break. I think I'm going to take a couple weeks off. There's a couple of minor things that I'm going to do for INE. I've got some courses that I'm working on for them and stuff like that. So, again, anybody that's been a subscriber of my channel, I truly, truly appreciate you being a subscriber and a viewer. I really do. I mean, if it wasn't for you guys watching these videos and listening to me ramble on for hours and hours and hours about technical stuff you may or may not be interested in, that speaks volumes to you guys. And you know, I'll take all the thank yous. You know, I do appreciate that, but it's also a big thank you to you for watching me do what I do. So this is what I do for a living. I'm really passionate about what I do. I really enjoy what I do, and that, I think, is conveyed very, very well in my content. So I'm actually kind of, truth be told, I'm actually kind of getting used to INE's format. It's a little bit different than I'm used to. I'm used to kind of just talking off the cuff. And after having some internal talks with INE and their staff, and you know, kind of what they're expecting from me, and you know, how I kind of feel about what I'm doing, and you know, they've kind of given me an idea of, you know, they've not like set in stone rules of how they want me to do stuff, but more kind of a guideline, more or less. And they're like, we want you to be you, but have the INE image, to fall inside of the INE image, but do things your way, kind of in a way. So they've given me some freedom to be me, which is huge, because I am not a robot. I don't work on an assembly line. I don't punch the clock. You know, if my phone was to ring or my email was to go off and the client needs help, I gotta stop what I'm doing to go deal with that. So when you work in IT and you have the ability to work from home and work remotely, you never really stop working. You know, I'm salaried. You know, I work around 40, 45 hours a week. But at the end of the day, that's pretty much where it stops. You know, once I go home, that's me time. But because I work for a VAR, and that stands for Value Added Reseller, if you didn't know that, which means that we take the vendor's equipment and myself. So we buy stuff from Cisco, we sell it to companies, and then we help them put it together and make it work. That's what we do. Now, I've worked in the enterprise space for several years as well, and quite frankly, I don't really care for the enterprise space. I don't want to be the senior guy in one network, because I find the challenge of people bringing me this and people bringing me that and having to figure it out. I'm a problem solver at the end of the day. That's what I like to do. So I get a lot of questions in how do you study for it, and how do you prepare for certification in general and stuff like that. And quite frankly, you know, and this is more geared to the recent questions I get on, like, I get a lot of questions through Facebook. You know, if you follow me on Facebook or LinkedIn, you already know that I have my CCIE previous to watching this video. But I wanted to shoot a video one-on-one like I've been, because you guys seem to like that correspondence and stuff like that. So I like to give you guys a face-to-face. Now, one of the things I'm looking to do on my one-on-one videos I'm going to be doing here on YouTube is I'm going to be getting a webcam, and I'm going to have to figure out a way to get the webcam to show up more. Because I have a laptop to my right here with a webcam, and the webcam kind of sucks. It's older, so it's not that clear. And I noticed that when I connect into it to do stuff, it's not very clear. So I'm going to be getting a webcam so you guys can see me. And I'm going to be doing content that I'm not going to give to INE. I'm going to be doing specific stuff. So I'll do like a lab, you know, topics that I get requests for. I'm going to do stuff like that. Like, I can't even think of anything off the top of my head. But I'm going to start doing that where I'm going to try to do like more HD video to where you guys can actually watch me. You know, you'll see me and you'll see the command line and stuff like that. I'm going to start doing that more and more as we go along. So that's what I'm hoping to do. I'm trying to make it more personable, because I like the way that IP Expert and INE do things. And no, I won't be doing any like live boot camps or anything like that. I'm a remote author for INE. I produce videos to go in their library, so I don't think there's going to be anything like that anytime soon. So, but I forgot where I was going with that. But that's okay. You know, this is me talking my train of thought. So, people ask me a lot how to prepare for it, and really, you just gotta sit down. You gotta either crack open a book or watch a video and start learning. Really, that's all there really is to it. I spent a lot of time reading. I spent a lot of time watching videos and labbing. I live in Wireshark. I mean, in debugs. While watching packet debugs, I live in debugs. And the only reason that I know the content as well as I do is because I spent a lot of time going through the content and making sure I know it. You know, no one's going to be able to do it for you. You know, what I do is a very thankless job. And the reason I say thankless is because nobody knows the time and effort that guys like me put in. You know, and not to say that people that have a CCNA or CCP don't put as much time and effort into, because that's totally not the case. You know, I put a lot of time and effort for my CCNA and my CCNP and my CCIE written and my VCP and my CCNA security. I put a lot of time into all those certifications because they require it. Because if you're like me, and most people are, you pride yourself on knowing how to answer the question. The engineer in me wants to be able to answer that question. So it's funny when I'm on a sales call and somebody asks me a question, it's like I have to ask a couple clarifying questions to see, okay, how far do I have to take it? And I enjoy that about what I do, because then I can quickly qualify something just by asking a couple qualifying questions. But you only be able to do that if you know what's going on. And one of the other things that I find very, very beneficial is doing like online forums and the Cisco Learning Network, responding to questions and answers and stuff, and answering questions, things like that. That's huge. So at the end of the day, it really depends on what you want to do. If you honestly want to become a CCIE, more power to you. You're never going to hear me tell you no. And it's actually kind of funny. It's about 10 o'clock my time at night. And I went out for a celebratory dinner with my family. Something I haven't really been able to spend a whole lot of time with them recently. And, this weekend was very, very busy for me. I flew out Sunday. I took the test on Monday. I flew home. I got the results very, very early Monday morning. And I was up for a couple hours after that trying to, update things and spread the word. And, I was really excited. But I knew I had passed. Now you might say, well, how do you know you passed the lab before you walk out? You'll know when you'll know. And I say that only because of the fact that I felt very confident walking in. I wasn't very nervous. I was still nervous, but I wasn't as nervous as I was on my first attempt. And you just feel good about it. You walk through, and if things work, unless there's some sort of major issue that you ran into, everything should work out for you. But you gotta be willing to put the time and effort in to get there. And that's the thing that most people aren't willing to do. Life gets in the way, work gets in the way. Now that I'm there, I am so geared to studying that I'm like, well, what do I do now? I have a friend, and we're not like close friends, but it more or less, I would say more acquaintance than anything else. And don't ask me for specifics, because I'm not going to tell you. I know a guy who's a Navy SEAL, and he's a good guy. I've only had interactions with him, half a dozen times maybe. Good guy though. And one of the things that he told me is, once you become what you want to become, you're like, oh. And he goes, and you'll hear this on, for motivation and stuff like that, because it's like, there's some times where I just don't want to do it. And I'll watch Navy SEAL motivation videos, and you'll hear from, either retired or active duty Navy SEALs, and these guys say they earn their trident every day. Their trident is like that logo you get with your CCIE. And I kind of relate that to what I do. I want to earn my CCIE every day. Now, you may not always have to do that, because a lot of times when you're working in environments, the CCIE test is way more complicated than any environment that I've ever touched, because of what you got going on. And most environments are pretty easy to work with. And if you can say that, I work with CCNAs and CCNPs a lot, and I find myself having to coach them, and kind of okay, that's not working, what else could that lead to? And I do it in a kind of a nurturing manner, and try to mentor type of situation, because I never ever want to tell somebody you don't know what you're doing, because no one ever told me that. Everybody was very positive. You got to be very encouraging, and that's one thing I can't stand about negative people. That's one thing you'll learn very quickly about me. If you're negative, I won't have anything to do with you. I can't stand negative people. When I run into negative people, I shut them out of my life as quickly as they came into it. And the reason for that is because I have too much going on in my day-to-day life with my family, my job, my career, what I do for a living, my interests, to have anybody take any amount of time away from what I want to be doing and dealing with what I don't want to be dealing with. So what that basically boils down to is real simple. I was in a study group, and that study group had, I think, 2 CCIEs when I joined it. Right now, and there was, I think, like 9 people. We're up to 16 people, and 7 of those, well, one second, let me count that up. It's me, Mike, Chad, Steve, Kyle, George, myself. There's 7 CCIEs in a group of 16 with Jason, JP, Carlton, Ken. 4 more going in the next month or 2. The point is, you surround yourself with people with similar interests. It's pretty common. If you're, I'm a Green Bay Packer fan. I'm a huge Green Bay Packer fan. When I was actually in Raleigh this past Sunday, they were playing the San Diego Chargers in Lambeau, and it was so nice to not have to focus on the test and be able to watch a football game. I hadn't watched a football game all season, or the previous season, really. I mean, I caught bits and pieces as you come downstairs for a break. That was like, whoa, this is what it's like to actually have fun, because I'm always so constantly drilling the exam. You get so involved in it. You get, it's like, I passed. That's like the big thing, but you get so involved and so engrossed in what you're doing that you don't know what to do outside of what you're, outside of your little world. I was out to dinner tonight with my family, my wife, my kids, and my in-laws. They took me out for dinner, and it's a congratulatory dinner. I mean, it was really cool. It was nice to be able to just chill and talk. And my mother-in-law, who thinks quite highly of me, and I do appreciate that, that she thinks so highly of me. She actually told the waiter and the manager of the restaurant she was celebrating her son-in-law's CCIE. She says CCIE, instead of, I rattle it off a little faster. Neither of them had a clue what that was. And so it's like, they look at me, and I said, basically, I was like, PhD in networking. I said, I work in IT. It's routing, switching, that type of stuff. And she's like, he's like the master at route switch. And so I'm a route switch CCIE. So that was cool. I appreciated that. It's, at work, my boss was talking me up on conference calls and sales calls and with customers and stuff like that. And my project manager, on the phone with customers, is like, oh, wait a minute, we got to get Rob our CCIE. It's cool it's cool to hear it. It still hasn't sunk in yet. I'd say, well, you're a CCIE now. I am a CCIE. It still hasn't hit me yet that I'm a CCIE, and I'm not sure if it ever will. But it's at the end of the day, it's just a certification. It really hasn't changed who I am, because here I am. I'm taking time out of my day to record a video for you guys, because to me, actually I couldn't wait to get home, because I wanted to record a video to let everybody know what's going on. So I wanted to record, and I usually shoot for half an hour. So if you guys have any questions, comments, whatever, put them in the comments below. I definitely appreciate everybody that's on the channel. That's why I keep doing these videos. I want to keep doing this stuff, and if you guys have, I do appreciate the course ideas. I've already started recording some more stuff, and I'm in the process of getting some other stuff in play. If you guys have any course ideas, again, please let me know. If you have any questions, you want to know anything more specific, leave a comment in the, drop your email. If you're, what have you? I'm trying to think here. What else? If you follow me on LinkedIn or Facebook, send me a message through LinkedIn, Facebook. I'll be happy to become friends with you. To me, the more the merrier, and the more the better. So again, it's one of those. It's a big deal to me. I take you, all you guys and gals. I'm trying to. There's a few ladies that subscribe to me. You're all my extended family. That's the way I look at it. And that's me being real. So again, I'm extremely happy to finally be over that hump. and I would, you know, I felt like you guys deserved a quick video. I didn't have time to do it before that, so again, I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.